Oh, hi. My name is Landon Huber, and I'm an illustrator, a musician, and a comic book artist. I also do surrealist painting, and welcome to my 8th art process video. In this video, I will be doing an oil painting of a creature who is half plant, half human, who lurks in the misty bogs and fights to protect his home there, as well as supernatural terrors. This character was originally created by writer Len Wein and artist Berni Wrightson. The character I will be painting is none other than the one, the only, Swamp Thing. The Swamp Thing can control any form of plant life. He can make it bend to his own will or accelerate its growth. He's also a master of the elements: fire, earth, air, and water. Swamp Thing started as a human being, just a regular man named Alec Holland, who was a brilliant researcher. He was developing a method of restoring plant life to the surrounding areas where it was all dying. But after being drenched in toxic chemicals during an accident in his laboratory, he fell into a nearby swamp and was forever transformed into a monster. Of all the characters in comics and folklore, perhaps Swamp Thing is the funnest to draw and or paint of them all because he's made of pure vegetation. There are just numerous ways to draw him and make him look good. For this painting, once again, I started with a thumbnail sketch. This one I actually drew digitally using my finger on my phone on an app. Then I projected that image onto a 16 by 20 canvas, first primed with 2 layers of white gesso. Alrighty then. Now let's have some fun. And without any further ado, let's begin the painting. And so now, as you can see, the first stage of this oil painting has been finished using a oil crayon. And now I'm going in there with just a bit of mineral spirits on a rag and smudging it around. The mineral spirits I use is a Mona Lisa brand, or the Gamsol. If you're gonna oil paint, you want to use one of those, because if you try to use the mineral spirits from the hardware store, you're going to kill a lot of brain cells that way. But the Mona Lisa or Gamsol actually has a slower evaporation rate, which makes it a lot easier on your brain and lungs. They're specifically designed for oil painting. Even after I've smudged the crayon around, still hitting it a little bit with the oil crayon, and then I go in here and just start painting directly on top. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, so you know, I like to experiment, but this is one way I found that's yielding some interesting results by the end. And even though you may think most of this oil crayon will be painted over by the finished piece, there's still a certain amount of it that is retained as the underdrawing that's still visible even in the final piece, some of the texture. And as you can see in these early stages, I kept it pretty transparent with the color I'm laying in. Again, I didn't want to obliterate the underdrawing completely. So I'm sort of washing in oil paint with these mineral spirits. Trying to get the color in there. And then as I see the color, I can start to make this creative decisions on what way I want to go with the color. And you know, sometimes you change your mind, even though it's probably best to have those things plotted out in advance with traditional art. But my creative process is really a process of action and reaction. You do the thing and then you look at it and then you react to it. And it kind of goes like that all the way until the end of the process. I wanted to capture like the feeling of Swamp Thing going through all these vines. It was coming up out of them and moving them aside and kind of emerging from the swamp. And as the piece progresses, I'm not sure if this is still in the first day or not, but with oil painting, unless you're doing something completely alla prima, there's usually a process of waiting for the under layers of the beginning stages of the painting to dry, and then going again on top and layering. I don't know if I've gotten to that stage yet here, but there will be moments in which I'm going on top of dried paint. And I speed up the drying by using Liquid, which is a product that speeds up the drying time of oil paint. It's very handy. I'm going in now, doing the face details. And I guess it depends on who you talk to, but I'd say that face is probably the most important part of any character drawing or any character painting you do. That's the soul of the character. Never rush the face. The thing I'm trying to accomplish is getting the picture that I have in my mind out on the canvas or the paper or the board or whatever I'm drawing on the computer screen. So I work digitally too. But my favorite is traditional. But it's a process, you know, you're always working towards that goal of accomplishing what you have in your head. And even if you can only reach 90 or 95%, you've done a good job, but you're always striving for the end goal. And sometimes it can be almost like climbing Mount Everest, but you just keep trying and striving to reach 100%. Sometimes it's necessary to turn the painting upside down to more easily access working out the details of some of the elements that are on the top of the design. So you can see I'm just going in and working on these little vines and branches and leaves and all sorts of vegetation. Because Swamp Thing himself is vegetation. He comes from the swamp. He is part of it, as we are a part of him. He is the monster we see in our deepest of terrors and our worst of nightmares. Inside the soul of a man. I love Swamp Thing. This isn't the first or probably the last time I'm gonna create a piece of art of him. picture is really starting to develop now, and at this point I'm just figuring out where I want to go with it, you know. What I want to change or fix or create lighting wise. I decided I wanted to have a cooler light come from the bottom right to balance the warm reds near the top of the picture. And then later on, even those oranges that are at the bottom, I decided to cool down more and create more atmosphere and mist, which you'll see in a little bit. Right here I'm doing just that. I'm creating horizontal strokes with just a little bit of white and a little bit of mineral spirits and a little bit of medium, and then softening it to add a layer of a misty atmosphere. So now on top of a pretty much already dried layer, which I've softened and faded back with the whitish blue fog, I've created all that and then pushed it into the background. Now going right over the top with some vines that I want to push to the foreground. I want to create as much depth as I can. And as things recede into the background, they recede more into the atmosphere. So whatever the color of the atmosphere is, the contrast will get less, and the values more similar to the color of the atmosphere as things recede back into the distance. And that's really how you create depth in a piece. And now you can see I'm just working on the detail of the vines and roots, little strings hanging strand by strand. I love working with oil paint, even though some people find it frustrating. It yields very positive results once you get the hang of it. You just got to be careful not to turn your pictures into mud. You gotta know sometimes when to leave it alone. Oh no. Oh no. And at this point I continued working, even though inside I was debating on whether or not I should fix the problem that I created for myself. So I actually did it, folks. I removed the canvas from the stretched board it was in, from the frame. I took out all of the staples and removed it to give myself just that little extra inch of space on the right side. Perhaps it was a crazy decision, but I felt I needed it. Because when I first designed the composition, I was thinking it would be cool to have him almost looking like he's leaning into the side a little bit more, but then after developing it this far in the process, I really just kept feeling I needed that little bit more space to improve this composition overall. And so I did it. I ripped out I removed one by one all the staples and then taped it to a board. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. All we have to go on in making art really is our intuition. And let this be a lesson, though, that you want to nail the composition in the earliest stages, because especially in traditional art, that becomes very difficult to fix later on. But I continued. And then sometimes, even after I've laid in all this detail, I will say, man, I really need to get rid of it. I need to blend that into the background more. I need to soften it more. Because your eye will focus on that detail. And so it becomes important to keep in mind focal points when making art. So now, as we come to the end and start getting closer to the final completion of the piece, it becomes ever more important to start making all your final decisions on what you want to keep, what you want to change. And even though there is no unimportant part of the creative process, it could be said that maybe the beginning and the end are the most important parts. Somewhere inside I feel the energy you put into a thing is going to be the energy that it gives out. And here I'm doing all the final little detail fixes. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It isn't finished until it's finished. It's finished. It's finished. And now, at last, it's finally finished. Whew! Man, that was a tough one. And even though it took some trials and errors, some twists and turns, and a bit of experimentation to finish it, I'm actually quite happy with the final result. He looks both a little bit angry, but also mysteriously haunting. But if you were half man, half vegetable, you might be a little disgruntledly ominous as well. Let's put him in the finished pile. After it's dry, I will be putting a varnish on it as the last step. It really helps to bring the painting to life. It adds a protective coating, and by deepening the colors, it really three-dimensionalizes the image even more. I hope you enjoyed watching me create this oil painting of Swamp Thing, and hopefully you were able to get something out of seeing the behind-the-scenes video of my oil painting techniques. But hey, more to come in the future, guys. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. If you like this content, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already to help me grow the channel. And for more information about me, for links to my other artworks, or if you want a commission, please just read the description below. And I want to just give one final thanks to the awesome writer Len Wein and legendary artist Berni Wrightson for giving the world such an amazing character. Until next time, guys, always remember, be creative. Bye for now.